So I called up Clint and I said, Clint, you got to help us out. My knee is giving me pain. I can't go on anymore. We have to finish this trip. Do you know of a doctor in the area that we could visit and, help us out? And coincidence of coincidences, he goes, oh yeah, my dad's girlfriend's a nurse. We'll get you an appointment tomorrow. No way. So we drive 2 hours away to the hospital. And as we're sitting in the waiting room, when to get seen by this doctor, Clint and his dad come in just to kind of say hello before I go in. And we're sitting around and we go, what if the doctor can't help me? What if there's something wrong and a shot of cortisone won't do it or whatever? What are we going to do? And we had this idea that if we shorten the crank on one side of my bike, then my knee wouldn't have to travel so much. It'd be a smaller circle for the pedal to go around. So if we shorten the crank, that might solve the problem. Well, that's a great idea, but how are we going to do that? It's a piece of metal. We need to drill into it and tap it with the right threads so we can get this done. So we're talking about this and we're like, all right, we should have, this is plan B. Do you guys know of a machine shop in the area that we could visit? And Clint's dad goes, oh yeah, actually, I'm the manager of a machine shop across town. So if this doesn't work out, I'm going to get my technician on the phone right now. You guys go right over there if this doesn't work out. Long story short, it didn't work out with the doctor. He didn't want to stick any needles in me. He's like, you're a young guy. I don't want to make it worse than it already is, So we're like, all right, plan B. We got to go to this machine shop. So we go over there, and Clint's dad's employees, they give us like 5 hours of their time. I mean, they're busy guys. They work on these huge machines that compress CO2 into the ground to bring oil up down there in Texas. So they work on these huge machines, and we're asking them to work on a little piece of metal about this big and drill a hole in it about this big. And so they didn't have any of the right equipment. They called Sears, they called friends, they called hardware stores. We went down to the bike shop, bought new pedals, all this stuff. 5 hours later, this is the configuration that we came up with. And as you can see, the pedal on the bottom, it's moved up about 1.5 inches. And that made it a smaller circle for my left leg to travel around and made my knee bend a lot less. And it took almost all the pain away. And the amazing thing is, and I want to relate this to the situation that you guys are in. You guys have met a lot of people here this weekend, and you've had a great time, it sounds like. Everybody's bummed that the conference is over. That means you guys put on a very good conference. But the point is, you've made a lot of contacts here. Use those contacts to your advantage. Make friends and use those in your life, not only to help your career, help you along, but just to have a friend to lean on, to be like, hey, you know what, I'm having a tough day today. And I guarantee everyone in here has had those days, and you'll have somebody to relate to that's in your situation. The point of this story, how it relates, is that I made this friend at a conference just like this. I was sitting in your chair. And I was able to call him up in a time that I had no idea how I was going to get around this roadblock. And he helped us out. He got us through it. Not only did this configuration allow me to pedal one more pedal stroke, 1 more inch along, but this configuration got me 1,500 more miles all the way to Memphis, all the way to Elvis's house. There's me, and my dad is on the left, my Uncle Steve is in the middle, and there we are at the Memphis city limits. And that was a truly triumphant day for us. that we were able to accomplish our goal. So there's one more story that I have from this ride. This one day we're in Quartzsite, Arizona. And for some reason we were just having a rough day. It was me and my dad riding. Everything was going wrong. We just didn't feel good, you know. So we rode our 35 miles and my mom was driving our sport vehicle. She was going to pick us up and take us back to the campsite. So she rolls up and, you know, we're tired and we just want to go back to the campsite and chill out. And she had been shopping all day, right? And she was in Quartzsite going to the shops and having a great time, and we're struggling out there on the road. Just waiting for this day to end because it's just one of those days. So she comes up, she drives up and goes, "You guys, you have to see this. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen." I'm like, "Mom, just take us back. You've been shopping all day, all right? We've been riding our bikes. Like, we just want to go back and chill out." She's like, "No, I'm not taking you back. You have to come see this." And so we get in the car. My dad's in the driver's seat. I'm in the passenger seat, and my mom is sticking her head through the two seats and, you know, just really excited. So she's like, "Look, all right, there it is. Pull in right there." We go into this place called Reader's Oasis Books. And she goes, "Look, there he is right there." And we're like, "What are you talking about?" This guy, his back was to us. And we didn't know what she was pointing at. All of a sudden he turns around and we just start laughing so hard. This is what we saw. So we pull into this parking lot and we finally realize what we're looking at, and we're just cracking up. We couldn't breathe. We were laughing so hard. My father, there was the strangest noises coming out of my father's mouth, noises that I never want to hear again, because he was laughing so hard, fighting for life to breathe, because he was in such hilarity. And so we, you know, this guy's name's Paul. We talked to him for a little while, and he goes, "Wait, I got a book for you." And he runs in. He turns around and runs in the store, and we're just going, "Oh God!" And he brings out a book and gives it to us, and it's a book about a family who made a cross-country journey. So I was talking to him a little more, and as soon as he started talking about how he likes to ride his own bike, I was like, "All right, we gotta go. Thanks, man." So the point of this story is, once again, if you make the contrast between where we were when I was first diagnosed and this situation, you can see a huge contrast between the most devastating situation ever and the funniest thing I've ever experienced, and I don't know if anything will ever top that. It was just hilarious. So we finished that ride to Memphis and we decided to do another ride. We raised about $40,000 and we got a few people involved in our first ride. So our second ride was from Sacramento to Las Vegas. And that ride was 650 miles in 13 days. And we had about 20 people do the ride with us. And the story of this ride is the Tehachapi Mountains. So we're going down the valley of California, smooth sailing, flat as can be for 8 days. It was really nice. And then we hit a town called Bakersfield and took a sharp left. And this is what was in front of us. The Tehachapi Mountains. And I would like to say that this slide represents all the adversity in my life. It represents FA for me. And it represents that moment when I figured out what was wrong with me, what FA really was. And I saw this huge mountain in front of me and I was going, "Oh my gosh, how am I ever going to get over this mountain? But you know what? All it took was one crank after another. Just keep cranking, keep moving forward, right? That's the only way to do it. It took us 10 hours riding 4 to 5 miles an hour to get up this hill. But this is where we landed at the end of the day. Tehachapi Summit, 4,064 feet. We had no idea how we were going to get there. But all we had to do was put one foot in front of the other, round and around again. 4 to 5 miles an hour till we got there. So a couple days later, we rolled into Las Vegas. And this is our team, triumphantly finishing in Las Vegas. And I put that little picture up there in the corner just to remind myself and all of us that this ride started with just 3 guys with a crazy idea that just wanted to get out and ride their bikes, and it turned into this amazing journey with 20 other people, and we raised $140,000 with this trip. And with that money, we partnered with the Friedrichs Ataxia Research Alliance and the National Ataxia Foundation, and we funded $250,000 worth of research. We funded 2 research grants. It's called the Kyle Bryant Translational Research Award. And I'm very proud of that award, and it started just from a guy who had a crazy idea and a family who wanted to support him. And I'm sure that situation can carry itself out easily with everyone in this room. Oops. Our next ride was from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. And we're on the east, but over in the west, oh shoot, I'm sure, especially, so this is the very north of the U.S. up near Seattle, and so it's the weather much like you guys have in Canada, at least on the west coast. And the story of this ride was the weather. It rained, it hailed, sleet, wind. Anything you can imagine, it happened. And we had 70 people with us who wanted to join this ride. 200 miles in 4 days. And these are 2 of the people that joined us. The guy in the yellow is Paul. Paul has a daughter with FA, and they've been fighting the FA fight for 28 years. And it was really special to have Paul along and fight for his daughter, because he was in the very same situation that me and my family were in. That, on the trike down there, that's not me, that is a guy named Sean. And he lives in Kodiak Island, Alaska. He came down, he has FA just like me. He came down to meet us and ride with us. And as you know, this condition, FA, muscular dystrophy, it's a very isolating disease. You feel like you're singled out a lot. And you're not like the other kids at school or wherever. This was one thing where Sean could take it back to his school and his friends and be very proud of what he did and have stories to tell, because he took action against his disease, against his condition. So like I said, we had 70 people with us.